Buckle up. We're here again. It's Georgia and Alabama, a battle of the Titans. But I'm here to tell you, last game's outcome and the ones before that don't matter as much as what's happening on the field Saturday at 4 p.m. I'm Keegan. My co-host is Chito. And this is Dawgs Off the Leash, SEC Championship Edition.
Do it for the Dawgs.
Keegan, my guy, is this deja vu that we're having to deal with, or can we talk about, you know how people always say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different results. Georgia fans, we're a glutton for punishment. We're going to show up to Atlanta, play Alabama again in a scenario that rarely works out for us, and try to win an SEC championship. How are you feeling? Is it weird? Is it insane for a Georgia fan to have hope right now?
Not at all, because even though there's a lot of audio and video of us on record going on about how Georgia is going to beat an Alabama team, only to find out soon thereafter that we are going to lose to an Alabama team, even though there is evidence of us being wrong a lot, we weren't wrong in the sense that every one of those games was wire to wire and close and competitive. Georgia has had all the chances in the world outside of maybe that one beat down in 2020, 2015. Like, there's been a few games where it really was out of hand, but outside of the couple that were like that, Georgia had plenty of chances to win these games. So we're not crazy for thinking we have a shot at Bama. And even though they beat us already this year, out of all the times we played Bama, this time in particular, I think Georgia should have a lot of confidence. And the thing is that if you're a player on this Georgia team, what's not going to help you read Ty Simpson's eyes is sitting there thinking about 2nd and 26 in 2018 or 2017 or whatever. Like, you have to be present for this game to make the plays. So while it makes plenty of sense for us fans to be traumatized and be thinking about the past and all the times we lost to Bama, rightfully so, I get it. It's not just cliche or coach speak to say this team doesn't have a lot to do with the past. Like, new coaches, new faces, and as far as this Bama team, they've been pedestrian in a lot of areas, and something that really excites me is that if you just look at everything face value, I think most people don't need a football degree to go ahead and say that Bama's strength is their passing game. Well, guess what, Georgia fans? We've already beat two teams this year with better passing offenses than Bama, that being Ole Miss and Tennessee. So if that's their best strength, and we've already beat teams that have that, why not have confidence? Why not go into this game expecting to win, not expecting to kick Bama's ass? You don't want to be foolhardy, but we lost by only a field goal before. We left points on the board. We made mistakes. We've beaten teams that are better than them, than the thing that is supposedly going to take us down the second time. So I think that sets the stage for confidence in a sensible way. Chito, what gives you confidence going into a second meeting against this Bama team?
The confidence that I do have comes from the first game and the fact that I think the game plan was exactly what it should have been. I really do. I mean, we ended up rushing for 227 yards. Chauncey Bowens, who is healthy and will be back for this game, did a lot of that damage. Nate Frazier has been more effective since then. His ball security's been better. His fumble cost us a really big opportunity in that game. And you mentioned it with the passing offense at Alabama. Ty Simpson passed for 276 yards. There were several people, Alabama fans as well as national pundits, that wanted to give Ty Simpson the Heisman Trophy after that night. He shredded us. Most people remember the third down conversion rate. They converted 13 of 19 third downs. That's going to be a problem for any defense, regardless of the opponent. That absolutely can't happen. We did stop the run. So in addition to running the ball, I think that's going to be one of the keys going into this game. We got to be a little bit honest. Like, you're at home. To lose 24-21 in your stadium with your fans, you have worse penalties than they do. You got to call a spade, but I think we can also say at this point, I feel like Georgia has become a better team since losing to Alabama. We won 8 straight games since that loss, 6 of those being SEC games. Alabama has been, the way I like to put it, is kind of stuck in neutral. They've been winning their games for the most part, but against kind of lackluster opponents. Close games against inferior teams at home. Ended up losing to Oklahoma, which I called. That was at home as well. Oklahoma's a good team, but still, Alabama hasn't looked impressive. But when they play Georgia, they are going to look like the most impressive version of themselves that you've ever seen. That's just kind of what comes with it. So while I do have confidence in the game plan, it's the little mistakes. Not going for that field goal and putting Cash Jones in a scenario which he's not going to thrive at the goal line on 4th and 1. That type of stuff can't happen. Kirby is at his best when it's against Texas. Bobo's at his best against Ole Miss. But when it comes to Alabama, the mental part of the game just becomes too much of us. We're uncharacteristic in our play, making uncharacteristic mistakes. So that's what worries me as a fan against Alabama. And we've seen it so many times. It's really hard not to have a little doubt creep in when it comes to Alabama.
Yeah, and everything's so done in hindsight, right? Like if we win a close one, even if it's full of things that you would second guess if we lost, if we win, you kind of walk away feeling pretty good about it. So I think that on the flip side of that, every loss, especially the most relevant one, the last one, there were a lot of bright spots. I got to give Alabama credit. Part of it goes to Kalen DeBoer, just being very aggressive when he needs to be. At times, Bama isn't aggressive enough, and it seems like to a more mediocre opponent, they kind of match that competitive nature of the opponent. But when the moment matters most, they're able to step up and play big. Credit to DeBoer in that sense. But over the last 2 years, Georgia has been a much more steady team. Sometimes I'm talking to Chito, I get all excited. He's like, not too high, not too low, just keep it steady. That's the thing that Bama has struggled with. While they have shown up to take the selfies, have the championship pose when they're playing Georgia or whatnot, or in the big game, they've done that. But they haven't consistently held that watermark. Meanwhile, Georgia, while we don't always meet the moment against Bama and we come up a little short, we're still at about that same high level of a watermark, which is enough to whoop everyone else. And we don't lose to Florida State. We don't lose to teams, knock on wood, that we're not supposed to, which Bama has, which is why they didn't make the playoffs last year, which is when they got handed a top blue chip ratio with really a great window of teams having not like the best years to make it. They didn't make it then. Georgia, meanwhile, had a really tough schedule while they lost to Bama. They ended up with the SEC title. I think it's quite an accomplishment and quite a head nod to this team for potentially winning an SEC title twice in a row. So, Chito, I have to ask you this. I think it's a realistic question, and one I want to know your opinion on. We won back-to-back national titles, but on the path of doing so, our schedule really worked out for us before that playoff grind. This is potential back-to-back SEC titles, not national titles, but this grind has been of epic proportions. So, is it fair to say that this might be more of an actual accomplishment in just the grit and how hard it was to do back-to-back SEC titles than it was when we won national titles?
And on the subject of Kalen DeBoer, I think we have to give the man his flowers. Since Nick Saban left, I really felt like Georgia was going to be able to take this series against Alabama and put it in a chokehold. But DeBoer is 2-0. He hasn't had the best seasons outside of Georgia, but when it comes to playing Georgia, him and his staff always find a way. And speaking of Alabama, we are 1-9 against Alabama, dating back all the way to 2007, when Matthew Stafford threw that pass in overtime and beat them in Tuscaloosa. And in the SEC championship game against Alabama, we're 0-4. So if you're looking at history or data points that we have, there's not a whole lot to be confident about. And that also begs the question, looking at the 2021 season that you mentioned where we lost to Alabama in the SEC championship and then beat them in the rematch, this could be a scenario to where the same thing happens, right? And we have to be honest too. If the SEC had their way, Georgia would lose this game, Alabama would get in, and both teams would be represented, especially the way the TV money works with Alabama and Georgia. So if you're looking at that, I don't have a lot of confidence, but if we're just looking at both of these teams, there's really no reason for Georgia not to be able to win except for us getting in our own way.
Man, look, it was so close last time. Like, what's going to matter is just a couple X's and O's being finagled and just dudes executing better. And I think that sets up well for, like, what we can adjust a little bit. You don't want to overcorrect, but from the last game, something that Bama did really well, especially on offense. It wasn't necessarily the trio of wide receivers they had that took us out. It was how they just killed space with their underneath throws to the running back, especially on a critical fourth down in the fourth quarter. Ty Simpson rolls out, kind of a misdirection, going to the left, pivots back, turns to the right. An underneath leak from the running back is what ends up giving them the first down. I swear we used that exact play later in the season. I forget who it was against, but I feel like we copied them and we've used it a couple times because it was just so effective. While I feel like we did pretty good against the receivers, we're going to need to do something so we don't let the running back run rampant. Now, if Jam Miller is not playing, he's kind of their main receiving back. He's got more wiggle. He's able to do more dangerous things yard after the catch. Number 4, forget his name, but he's a bruiser, and he can do a little bit of the same stuff. So if they don't have Jam Miller, which they might not, I don't expect them to go away from it entirely. So one way we can key in on that is have our linebackers play more of a match zone. A match zone is kind of like the best of both worlds between a zone defense and a man defense. So before, we were playing more of a loose zone, running back's able to sneak out. A match zone is it's kind of more of a QB spy for the running back. You're sitting there in a zone. It works in tandem with the linebackers and the safeties. The linebackers kind of play to the underneath routes. Anything goes vertical, it passes off to the safeties. So I think that's one way we can kind of trap the running back pass. Another thing we can do, and I've learned a good bit this week actually, Chito, is something called a green dog pressure. It's actually something that Bill Belichick is really known for. And essentially it's like this. Similar to the match zone, the green dog pressure is where the linebacker covers the running back only if he releases. If he stays back in blocking, the linebacker blitzes. If the running back leaks late, the linebacker steps back and follows. So these are two different things I think we can do this game to kind of give our linebackers a little bit more wiggle room, because me and you both know they have a ton of athleticism. Someone like Chris Cole, someone like CJ Allen, they can do both, right? You know, a lot of the girls right now, every now and then I get these ridiculous things like girl dating tips on my algorithm. I don't know why, but they're like, get you a man who can do both, right? Get you a linebacker who can do both, Chito. So we have that here at Georgia, and that's something I think we can do because Alabama was so effective with the play action and especially with the play action to the running back pass. So I want to look at us doing that. Is there any kind of adjustments you'd like to see from the last game going into this game?
Yeah, so when I was writing my article this week, I talked a lot about my keys to the game, right? And to be truthful, I really felt like Georgia had the blueprint last time to beat Alabama. I really want to stress that point because we really don't have to reinvent the wheel. We did a lot of the things necessary to beat this team, right? The main thing is going to be the mental aspect. Just relax and play football. Coaches, don't do more than you're used to doing. Players, do what your coaches are asking you to do, and you will be all right because it's a good matchup for Georgia. A team that doesn't run the ball well, our secondary's gotten stronger. We run the ball really well against them. That helps us with time of possession. That helps us keeping their offense off the field as well. So what I'm going to look for, some of the basics is run the ball and stop the run. I think as a running back room, we need to be targeting 200 yards rushing. I would love to see Gunnar Stockton use his legs and add to that. The third down conversion, 13 of 19 is absolutely unacceptable. Ty Simpson cannot sit back there and have all day to just dot us up all over the field. Alabama's offense, they like to attack the middle of the field, so it's going to be on the linebackers and the safeties, especially KJ Bolden, who's been playing really well to help cover the middle of the field where they like to attack. And I think you brought up a good point. The running backs and the tight ends leaking out of the backfield it's too easy. It's such a simple concept. So on one end, I'm really confident that Kirby and Glenn Schumann will have done their homework, will have a scheme to fix that. But then you also have to think, they still have Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard, who played like Jamar Chase last go around, right? So what we need is pressure, right? However you want to think of that. And luckily for us, we have had Gabe Harris, Chris Cole, and Q Johnson, who have played really, really well in the past few weeks. They have been providing the necessary pressure for us. And then the secondary has been playing very well too. You have Ellis Robinson, who's starting to look like the high recruit that he was coming out of high school. And then you also have DeMelo Jones, who's playing as physical as any DB I've seen in a long time. So the combination of our pressure getting better and our secondary shoring up, I think is going to allow us to reach some of these keys. And then last but not least, our X factors, right? They have Ryan Williams, they have Ty Simpson. We don't know if we're going to see the running back. He is questionable, and both tight ends. Jam Miller, the running back, questionable. Josh Cuevas and Danny Lewis Jr. So that's going to be a big thing. Obviously, we're down Bobo. But for us, we need Gunnar Stockton and we need Zachariah Branch to be our X factors, right? Gunnar cannot have what was pretty much a pedestrian game last time. And then Zachariah Branch was the second leading receiver with 3 receptions. I want 10 touches out of Zachariah Branch. If he's got to be an extension in the running game with the screens, do that, because he is a nightmare everywhere else. You're not going to be able to guard him all night long on one-on-one man coverage, and then he's going to be able to exploit zones regardless of what they look like. So our X factors have to be our X factors in a big, big way come Saturday.
I think you said it very well. Our X factors have to be our X factors, and I think that was one of the more frustrating parts of the previous game, is that we felt like this Georgia team didn't get the most out of the roster in that game. It was competitive, it was close, but we ran the ball well. Why aren't we running it more? Bama had struggled against Florida State with a running quarterback. Why didn't we implement any of that? Zachariah Branch, deadly, not enough touches. The fastest guys on the edge as far as the defense, now we're letting them off the leash, pun intended, a little bit later in the season. So I think the biggest advantage that Bama had while they were playing on the road, so you got to give them credit, the biggest advantage Bama had coming into the first game is they were building more on what they did last year. Whereas for Georgia, even though we got a lot of guys returning, figuring out how it's all going to flow together, even our leading receiver, Colby Young, at the time, had missed time last year. So we were trying to figure out how to mix and match, make the most of these pieces. One guy I did not hear you mention who had a phenomenal role to play in Bama beating us is Isaiah Horton. Dude's 6'4", he's a baller. But I went down the line with everything that kind of is a threat with Bama. There's not a thing they got going for them that we don't have going for us. Who's our tall, quick receiver? Noah Thomas, right? So between what we have, what Bama has, it's a wash. It's a complete wash. Georgia needs to play more to their strengths, like you said. I think we need to run the ball more because we've been effective. We're a top 30 running team. If Bama's a top 30 passing team, we're a top 30 running team. We need to lean more on that and just make Gunnar Stockton relevant in the run game. You don't have to force feed him like you tried doing against Georgia Tech. He doesn't need to be Tim Tebow. He just needs to be a threat. If anything, have him be a distraction. I want to see Georgia be more creative. If there's one thing Kalen DeBoer and staff has done well, it's being creative and being very aggressive. They've played like an underdog team that might not make a bowl game when they play Georgia, right? They don't leave anything on the table. That is why they've done so well. We're sitting here, and it boils down to hindsight. We go for it on 4th down. We don't get it. We could have taken a field goal. They go for it on 4th down. They do get it. Even though they might not have a bunch of players, I guess potentially the defensive tackle's out. Then on an interview clip, I saw him saying he's going to be in. So we don't know what's going on about that. There's only so much Kirby and company can do to worry about that. You got to go out and prepare to play whoever lines up across from you. But one thing I do want to see us be prepared for, please do not let Caden Proctor score a touchdown. like I'm sure at this point, Caden Proctor, Chito, is going to be a distraction for Bama. Like that's probably how I'd play it at this point. Oh, we got you with the Caden Proctor last time. Now you trot him out there to distract the defense. You think you're getting the Caden Proctor screen, then it's a rollout, whatever have you, or a little shuffle pass to Ryan Williams. Like they love involving their wide receivers in the run game. They do a lot of things to be creative, but I do want to see us key in on Caden Proctor. Do you think they'll go back to that? Because they did it again against Vandy too, so they actually use Caden Proctor pretty frequently in their offense. It's not just a gimmick thing. Like, they'll have him run the ball, they'll have him catch the ball. Like, does Georgia need to be more prepared for Caden Proctor, or is that like a one-off? What do you expect?
Georgia's going to have to be prepared for everything. This is a game to where Alabama is the desperate team, right? They're going to play absolute lights out. I'm curious about what happens to Alabama if they lose. I know the committee is trying to say we're not going to penalize anybody for losing the championship, but they'll have 3 losses. So this is going to mean a lot for them. So expect Kalen DeBoer to come out swinging and get creative. We don't know exactly who's going to be available and who's not. But, if you're missing a tight end and you're missing Jen Miller, hey, throw Caden out there. He's got a good body of work as a receiver. So, but Georgia's got to be able to do some of that as well. Not get too cute, but we have to be willing to take shots down the field. Again, we're talking about all these other players as if Ryan Williams not there. He's had some drops this year, but he can take over this game at any moment too. I mentioned Jeremy Bernard. We have to be on high alert for everything without overthinking too much.
Yeah, and it's crazy because the only thing that really does concern me, and it's been something I said earlier in the season, if this guy goes out, it might be bad, and that's Drew Bobo. Drew Bobo, from what I hear in the rumor mill, he might be out for the season, so that's not good for Georgia. As soon as he was out against Tech, there was an immediate drop-off running the ball. I don't know if we have a true answer as our backup center. Do we know who's supposed to be the backup center as of now?
Yeah, they're saying Malachi Tolliver. He got some reps during the Charlotte game. That is a downgrade for sure. There's no way around it. We'll see how that goes. The only really good thing about this is that Alabama's center is banged up as well. So both teams, again, are kind of limping into this game. Does Georgia, go all out to try to win this game the same way Alabama may do that? It's tough to say. It's tough to say.
Yeah, and the other thing too, even though Georgia is down a center, Alabama might be down a defensive tackle. So it might be 2s on 2s when it comes to the SEC championship, and maybe it ends up being a wash, whereas before it really sucked to be missing Drew Bobo. And now I know he's a great competitor. For the most part on film, I haven't seen Drew Bobo whiff a block, I don't think, all season. But the bigger factor is the intellect part, right? How he leads the offense, how he points things out, and him just being an extension, even though it's probably not the biggest factor. Hey, look, his dad is the offensive coordinator. How many extra conversations, extra insights does he have on his dad's mindset, and how does that actually help this offense as kind of an unspoken X factor? Because year to year, the center position has been elite, and where we've expected some drop off in the offensive line for the last decade, we've had a great center. So it's really kept a high standard. Even when we're having a quote-unquote off year, we've had a good center to kind of hold it together. This isn't an off year, but this is a young team. Drew Bobo was he had some little nursing birds under his arm there for a little bit, and he's going to be on the sideline, so expect some sideline leadership from him, but definitely something to look into. And I guess it might be a silver lining for Georgia, Bama not having that defensive tackle.
Yeah, if LT Overton, who I always thought was a left tackle, given his name, which is hilarious, a D tackle named LT. Yeah, if he's out, that's actually really big for us not having Bobo. And then, like you mentioned, Bobo was really important because we have so many freshmen playing on the offensive line. And it's one thing to be a freshman, but if you know what you're doing and you have somebody communicating well with you. But if you don't got that, it's like you got to slow down and think more instead of just playing. So it's going to affect us. I don't know how much, but we will see if Malachi Tolliver or Dontrell Glover or somebody else can fill that void. It's getting really close. These teams are already kind of neck and neck, 50-50. Good defenses. They both have different strengths on offense. The last game came down to the wire. I expect this one to do the same. So, Keegan, if you are ready to do a score prediction, I want to hear how you think this game is going to go. After all the losses we've endured, but still feeling confident in this team that's 11-1, number 4 in the playoff committee's bracket, while Alabama's 10-2, and I think they're sitting at number 9. And I think down the stretch, we've been the better team. How do you feel as we sit here today on a day before the eve of the SEC championship game?
I believe in football karma, if you will. Georgia's just been playing better. Outside of the game against Bama, Georgia has played better all year. Georgia wins. They take care of business. Bama has a bend, don't break defense. Let's take advantage of it. They've given up a lot. Even though I think it's the strength of their team, it's not elite. It's not elite. So give me the Dogs by 10. Not because it's vengeance, not because of anything emotional or fancy. I think Georgia is just the better team, and I think that if we show up and execute, 10-point victory, Dogs on top, 32 to Bama's 22.
I said the next time that I got a chance that I was going to pick Alabama, and everything in me all this week, it just makes sense to take Alabama. They've beaten us so many times. Yes, they haven't looked like the best team, but I think they're going to look like the best version of themselves when they play Georgia in Atlanta in the SEC championship game. For all the reasons that I listed, as well as the mental aspect of them playing for their playoff lives. but I can't do it. I can't do it, man. I can't do it. I can't do it, and I'll probably live to regret it. But again, I really feel like this Georgia team is better than Alabama for that simple fact. But it's going to come down to a few plays either by our X factors or their X factors. And in my opinion, Kirby is insane. I know he really, really wants this game. The talent on this roster is absolutely insane. And today I'm insane too. I'm going Georgia over Alabama, finally, 27-24.
Hey, by a field goal. Dude, if we take the points in the last game, it's a wash. If we take those points. So if we can take any single lesson, it's
shoulda, coulda, woulda. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. We have to show that we can beat this team. To me, it's that simple. And again, there's been several times where I felt like we were the better team. There's been plenty of times where Alabama really, truly was the better team, right? And we got beat. I'm going to lean on just what I know and what I see. It may cause me to look like an idiot, but I'm willing to do that with this coach, with this coaching staff, and these players. And I think just a good gunner game. Just a good gunner game, I think will get this done. And turnovers, obviously. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. Heartbreak or not. So...
And we won't harp on this, but if Gunner just plays the game of his life, he is in the Heisman conversation if that happens. Not saying it's a factor, not saying that's where my focus is, but it is on the table if he has an MVP type game against Bama in this SEC championship.
And also, before we transition here, if we want to just talk a little bit briefly about some of the recruits, we can do that.
So Georgia did land another top 5 class. We'll get more into the specifics on that in a completely separate recruiting edition. It's not necessarily our forte, but there is a lot to love about this class, and I definitely want to touch on it. We're in a new era where you don't necessarily need to hit every recruiting class out of the ballpark. You just need those developmental pieces, and you can always hit the transfer portal.
Yeah, and also there's a bunch of names here. I know everybody wants to talk about the Jared Curtis flip. We'll get into that, but don't be too upset. This is a really good class. A few highlights that I wanted to mention, guys that I'm really excited about. Justice Fitzpatrick, a cornerback with NFL pedigree and size. Most people know his brother Minka Fitzpatrick. Jay Lamar, a running back from South Georgia. This dude has explosive speed that I haven't seen in quite some time. And then also Caden Prothro. Welcome to Tight End U, a 6'6" monster, top 5 player in Georgia. As a basketball player, he averaged 20 points and 16 rebounds. This dude is going to fit right in at Georgia. And then honorable mention, Akini Ajboko. His brother Namdi plays defensive line. He will be an offensive tackle, I want to say. So the trenches are set, and we have some skill players that are going to fit well in Athens.
Most of the dudes you listed are dudes I have on a small list myself that I'm excited about. Another couple is the fact that we got 2 number 1 kicker and punter for this class, which is amazing. You know, that still only makes them 3-star, but still, that's awesome.
Still elite, absolutely.
And the other 2 players I wanted to mention are that of Preston Carey, who's just a dog. He's a 3-star, but he comes from IMG Academy. He plays nasty football. Love what I see from him. And then probably to me, the gem of this class on paper is Bowden Sohn. I think that's how you pronounce his name. But if you look at his recruiting profile, he came from overseas. He's from Sweden. He doesn't have a ton of tape compared to a lot of these other guys. And he's already reclassified up. So I love what I see from him. He's a former soccer player. He's done jiu-jitsu. He's got a lot of these athletic intangibles you just cannot coach. And he's grown into his body. So you mix those things together, deadly combination. And the silver lining, I'll say this about the Jared Curtis news. We don't get Jared Curtis, but the way Kirby's done it so well is kind of staggering your quarterbacks. We saw it when BVG had to transfer out. We saw it when Justin Fields had to transfer out. When you have guys too close in class, there's oftentimes competition, too many cooks in the kitchen. It doesn't work out. So Gunner's coming back. Let's hope Puglisi works out. With that, Jared Curtis would be in a situation of too many cooks in the kitchen. Okay? The 28 quarterback is number 1 in the class, right? But the thing about him is he might reclassify up to 27. And if he does, it would work out perfectly for Georgia to continue on what they've been doing, staggering their quarterback recruits. So I love that, and I really think that that could be the saving grace for not getting a number 1 quarterback in this class. How about the number 1 player and number 1 quarterback in the 28, potentially 27 class. So that is something to look forward to. Chito, as far as the championship games, we don't have a lot of picks this week, but tell me, is it Ohio State or Indiana? Is Indiana going to pull this sucker out?
I'm going Ohio State.
Okay. I think Indiana's going to really test them. Give me Indiana, dude. Like, Ohio State wins, but they have bad football habits. They have them. So I like Indiana in this one. Are there any other championship games that are relevant?
Yeah, give me Texas Tech at number 4, beating BYU at number 11. Both teams are 11-1. I just feel like Texas Tech probably brings a little bit more to the table at this point.
Yeah, I like Texas Tech in that one. And then as far as the ACC championship game.
So we have Duke versus Virginia. Duke limped in at 7-5. Virginia is 10-2. The ACC is just embarrassing.
No Miami? No Miami?
No Miami. The ACC is just embarrassing. I will take Virginia. I think they deserve to actually be in the ACC championship game, and I'm hoping they prove me right.
Well, damn it. No wonder Miami's in a pickle. I thought they were in the ACC championship game. There you go. You lost by 3 points last time. You left points on the board. I think Georgia can take this one. So,
win or lose, guys, what's going to be the most important is going to be the seeding. If we win and we get that first round bye, that helps us stay away from what we think is going to be Ohio State joining us in the top 4. If we lose, then we're kind of at the mercy of the committee. So let's go out here and try to win for the sake of seeding, not beating Alabama, which also would be nice. But you guys make sure that you tap in with us wherever you get your podcast, whether that is Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And as always, guys, you know what it is.
Off the leash.
Off the leash.
With the Dawgs.